Welcome to Forum 360. Our guest today is a very special person called Colin Lewis, who is the president of the Greater Stark County Urban League. I'm here with Sally Henning, my co-host, and I'm Diane Robinson. Colin Lewis, the CEO and interim president of the Greater Stark County Urban League, joined the Urban League in November of 2014, serving as the chief of staff, and then took the lead in July of 2015. Prior to that, he honorably served more than 20 years in the United States Air Force, retiring in 2011. He earned his undergraduate degree from Mount Olive College in North Carolina and his master's degree from Central Michigan University. He has also served as an adjunct professor for more than 15 years at various colleges and universities across the country. Welcome, Colin.
Thank
Welcome.
You. Thank you.
We're very pleased again to have you with us today. And I would like to begin this discussion about the Greater Stark County Urban League by asking you, what is or who is the Urban League?
Again, I thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to be here. For many that may not know, the Urban League has been around, the National Urban League has been around since 1910. It is one of the largest nonprofit organizations. Actually, it's the nation's oldest in regards to helping out African Americans and other minorities to achieve social, economic, health, housing. The Urban League's been there just over 100 years now. And the good thing about it is we have an affiliate. We're one of 88 across the country. We may be in a smaller arena in Stark County, Ohio, but we're really there to try to make an impact. And so that's what we're really here. That's who we are. And it's not just for minorities. Let me just say that. We're here to help anyone, but at the heart of it and at the premise of it, we are here to help minorities to kind of catch up between that gap that was there for so long.
Thank you. So tell us, what are the programs and how do you achieve the mission of the Urban League?
The programs. We have several programs. I'll highlight just a few that are near and dear to me. One is a new program that we've just recently started, which is our state-tested nursing assistant program. We all know that, especially in Northeast Ohio in this area, there's two major fields here that are doing the hiring. That's education and that's medical in the health field. We've seen this as an opportunity to really help someone to kind of segue into the health community, because we understand that every nursing facility, if you have a loved one at all that's ever in a nursing home, those young women, those young men that come in to take care of your parents, your loved ones, your husbands, your kids, those are STNAs. And so there's a great need for them. There's a huge gap with those people that have that caring nature. And so we decided to start our own program, not because others weren't doing it, not because that, for any other reason than just the need. And again, it gives you a great opportunity to get in the health field. You learn the medical terminology, you learn what it means to be a nursing assistant, but you're also around nurses. And we've had some success. We've had 8 individuals thus far that have gone through the program. All 8 are working, which is really the heart and staple of what we do, is to help people get jobs. So we also have what's called a job preparedness course, where we teach people the things that's needed to not only get a job, but how to maintain a job, how to dress for success, how to speak, how to use soft skills, how to smile, how to shake hands, of those things. And so we also have programs for children. We have a program called Later Learning, where we're helping those later in life. I don't like to say seniors, because I had a gentleman who was 30 that just wasn't computer savvy. And what we do is we teach them how to create an email, how to shop online, how to check WebMD. So when you're having symptoms, when you call the doctor, you're not just saying, hey, my shoulder hurts. They had a commercial for a car, and you go in and you just make the noise, and then the mechanic is guessing what's wrong with your car. Many of us do that when we go to our doctors. And so what we were trying to do was help those later in learning to educate themselves on this may be the symptoms, or this is what I'm feeling. And WebMD is a great resource for that. And also gives you an opportunity to check, if I'm having a reaction to medication. So those are just a few of the programs. Our website, starkcountyul.org, will give you a whole list of all of our programs that you may be able to partake in.
If people are interested in becoming, you said STNAs, if they're interested in that or other types of jobs, how do they get a hold of the Urban League?
You can reach us by phone, 330-754-1576. You can also go to our website, starkcountyul.org, and it'll give you a way to reach us on the website. Because again, like you said, we want to make sure that everyone knows that we're there. And that's one of the biggest hurdles for me right now, is getting the name of the Urban League back out there. We want to be that premier, first thought of organization when you have a need, whether it's you're living, you're learning, or you're working. We want to be that place that you come.
Colin, I understand that you are interim.
Yes.
And have been for a little over a year.
Yes.
So could you share with us what has been the most exciting or surprising experience since taking that role?
Yes. Since taking the role, the excitement has been, and I used to hear it said that, once you're an urban leaguer, you're always an urban leaguer, that it gets on the inside and it just attaches itself to you and you can't shake it. And initially I thought that was a catchy, cute cliche, and that sounded good. But once you start doing the work and you start to see people's lives changing, the most exciting piece for me was when I seen the two young women actually purchase their first home. They were in a shelter and alliance. They were previously divorced, and life happens. You're going along, you've been married 14 years, and all of a sudden he says, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. You have children. They found themselves in a shelter, but that's not where they wanted to be. And that's really what the Urban League is all about, is helping you to move to life. So they decided, hey, I would love to purchase a house. So we began working on their credit through our financial literacy program. We began working on their credit, began working on saving, began working with banks. And through that process, when you talk about excitement, you could just see the kids when they would go look at the house and say, you mean I could play out here in this yard? Yeah, son, this is your mom's house now. This is your yard to play in. That in itself has been the most exciting. The most challenging as well is when you have those people that you see have the heart, but they just don't have the discipline to continue on the journey. And I'm learning that I can't want more for people than they want for themselves. That's been the hardest challenge for me. But all in all, it's nothing but excitement because I get to see lives changing. And that's really what we're here for, to empower the community and to change lives. So yeah, that's been the most exciting piece, is being able to see our mission actually in work.
I imagine there are many meetings and outreach activities that you have to attend or activities that you have to conduct. Where do you get the energy to hold all of these meetings and be a part and the outreach activities that are necessary?
I think for me, the first and biggest thing is I have a very supportive wife. Without her, I wouldn't be able to do this because, even though we're what they call empty nesters, even at an early age, both of our children are doing well. My youngest son is in the Air Force. My oldest son is a barber in Virginia. But I still parent, even though they're gone. But being an empty nester, some people think that, that should be easy. But I'm a very appreciative person to have the wife that I have that's able to support me when I do have those extended meetings and those 12-hour and 14-hour days and weekends and holidays. But the way I really see it is the mission itself is what drives me. Because again, those meetings are important when you talk about infant mortality in Stark County having one of the highest rates in the nation. I need to be at that meeting because it's affecting the very community that we're helping. When you talk about, we had a community conversation where we talked about police brutality and what we can do to make Stark County not immune, but kind of stay away from the spotlight of some of the cities like Ferguson and these other places. What can we do to work with the police before we get to that level and we get to that place where now we're reactive? So we chose to be a little proactive in that approach. And so those meetings, I think what really drives me in that is knowing that that's part of the calling and the mission of the Urban League. And I'm a person that believes in leading from the front. I believe that I would never ask anyone on my staff to do something I wouldn't do. And so it's just that military part of me. I think I was groomed for this with the military because I didn't get the option of saying I don't want to go. So it kind of was ingrained in me from the military, but also I had great parents who said, once you say you're committed to this, commitment is different than being interested. I learned that at an early age. There were certain sports I was interested in, and then I'd want to quit. My parents will say, no, you committed, so now you're going to play. Now next year, if you decide you don't want to, that's fine, but you committed this year and you have a team that's dependent on you. Even if you guys are losing, if you're having a horrible seat, just continue on because you committed. And so for me, I understand the difference between being committed and being interested in something. And so I'm totally committed to the Urban League, as I've shown, I'm hopefully over the last couple of years.
You know, it's so interesting. In towns where there's big controversies, where there's real problems, like in Ferguson and whatnot, the press spends a great deal of time talking to them. But in areas where things are being handled, where people are getting together, where the Urban League is functional and is successful, it doesn't get as much attention, but it's important. Can you talk some more about what you're doing, what the Urban League is doing to make a difference so that we don't get to Ferguson?
Yes, we have partnered with the NAACP of Stark County. We've partnered with Coming Together Stark County. The three agencies put on a forum to where we allowed the community to come and have a conversation. It was a beautiful event. We had close to 200 people. Wow. Many shared their hearts. Many shared, because prior to that, the city of Canton did a wonderful job. They had the mayor, they had the safety director, law officers, attorneys that explained the law.
That mayor's been on our show, by the way.
Okay. This is the way the law should be administered. And we talked to them about being more than just the serving part, but also the protecting. Because there's an officer named Lamar Sharp who is doing policing the way it should be. He's community policing. He spends time with the children. He spends time with the family. He understands that when they say, Miss Jackson, it was your son, she's not worried about Lamar hurting her son, but he still is going to serve and protect the law, first and foremost. But because he has that relationship, now people are more apt and more prone to come talk to Lamar because they don't see him as a threat, even though he's an officer. And so what we were trying to do was, you've explained to us the way the law should be administered. Now let's hear from the community on how they're perceiving it to be administered, because we've had complaints of dog attacks and we've had complaints of profiling. So those things were important for us to be able to come out and say, hey, you're saying you're doing it this way. The community is saying you're doing it, they're receiving it this way. How can we kind of have this conversation to make sure that you're not overstepping, but also the biggest part was for us to make sure that the constituents understood the law.
Thank you. You have been tuned in to Forum 360, and our special guest today is Colin Lewis, the Interim President and CEO of the Greater Stark County Urban League. I'm Diane Robinson, and my co-host, Sally Henning.
Such a pleasure. We were just talking about the various programs that the Urban League does, and so far you've talked about credit counseling.
Yes.
And how big, could you talk a little bit more about the services that are available for people? It's pretty exciting.
Yes. For me, and this is something that I use, and I know it is a shocker when people hear it, but it's just the truth. Debt is the new 21st century slave master. Debt could care less about age, stage, religion, color, gender. Debt could care less. And what debt has been doing, it has been trapping people into a place of hopelessness. And so what we've done is, for the last 96 years that the Urban League has been in existence in Stark County, they've always taught financial literacy. It's changed its name, it's changed its methods, but at the heart of it, if you're not financially sound, if you don't have a savings, a budget, a good credit score, if you don't have the means to really live, then you will forever find yourself in a cycle. You can have all the dreams, you know, the new year, the new me, the resolutions for 2017, but if becoming debt-free is not the number one priority in your life, you will forever have problems throughout this year. And so our financial literacy class, we go to churches. If you have a church and you'd love for us to come to teach your congregation about financial literacy, and we can even do that from a biblical standpoint. If you have a mosque, because
bet
we
you
don't,
do.
yes, we don't discriminate. So if you have a mosque, if you have a temple, whatever it is, we'll come there. That's what separates us from most places. We make ours mobile so that if you have a Bible study, if you have a women's group and you say, hey, there's 12 of us, can you come and do it? Absolutely. I've been to a place called Gateway up in Skyline Terrace area, and I've met with the residents there. One young lady, she's probably in her 50s, was going before a judge, and he was going to decide whether to make her have someone accountable for her money or if she would be able to take care of it herself. She began the process. We worked on her getting a saving plan. At the end of the month, from a $38 a month salary, she was able to save $11.
Oh, wow.
That doesn't sound like much.
It does. It really does.
But when you look at it from the heart of it, from a $38, nothing in her life changed. You know, she just made better choices. Instead of buying at a vending machine, instead of going to this particular store that's in the neighborhood, I can get on the bus and go a little further and save money that way. And she did that for an entire month, and the judge granted her to be her own executor of her funds, which was huge for her
huge.
Because
Independence.
someone else telling you, here's $3 and that's all you get for the week. You know, to a 50-year-old, that's just, so she was able to maintain her independence, which for me, when we talk about the excitement of the job, those are the kind of stories that fuel me to say there are others who just may not know that we're out there. And so that's one of our plans for 2017 is to really get the name of the Urban League back in the community, get the brand of the Urban League back into the community so that people understand who we are, what we're there for, and what we can do for you.
So, what has been the key to your successes in making the substantial achievements thus far? And what's next?
Okay, the keys to the success, truly and honestly, I mentioned it earlier, having a support team starts with my family. But beyond family, I understand that no man is an island to himself. I can have 1,000 ideas, 1,000 good intended programs, but without the people, the collaborations, the partnerships, having a strong board that's there to oversee, that can tell me, hey, you're going a little too far, you're going a little too fast. That's how I'm able to really do this, because I have built great relationships. And I do that simply just by being myself, being honest, being upfront, being forthright, explaining to them exactly where we are, what my intended motives are, and then I just allow my actions to speak for themselves. I don't try to overpromise and then you underdeliver. I actually take the other way. I try to underpromise, and then when I deliver, it's like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Because I've realized so many times in the past, people with great hearts had these great intentions, but they overpromised. And when you come up short, even though the intentions were great, people can look at you and say, well, you lied to me because you said you were going to do 40 people. Well, we realize that you can't make a person do something. So what I shoot for is not less numbers, but I try to shoot for, I strive not for perfection, but for excellence. And there is a difference. I'll leave the pursuit to perfection to the Lexus group. But I shoot for excellence. And in excellence, I just mean doing right by every person that I meet. And if I say we're going to do something, do everything that I can. And when I can't, be honest about it. So that's really been the heart and the real soul of it. It's the collaborations, the partnerships, having a strong board, and just having people that are willing to come alongside the Urban League who understand what the Urban League really is there for.
What are some of the events and goals that you have for this year?
Well, some of the events that I'll always try to focus something on health. So I'm planning on having at least 2 health-centered events this year. One around diabetes, which is a huge killer in our community, and it doesn't have to be. We've even lost celebrities to diabetes, which is really sad because they have so many manageable plans. And again, for many of in our community, we just won't go to the doctor for whatever reason. So what we're trying to do is bring doctors there, do some blood pressure screenings, do some other innovative ways. I know there's certain things you can't do, like check cholesterol on the spot and things of that nature, but whatever it is that we can bring an health organization out to actually do, I'd love to be able to do that. So we want to have some health events. We want to have some financial literacy type forums. We want to have just even, again, those community forums. That was huge because so many people learned the difference between resisting arrest and not, what is the official term? But there's a difference. Many people think that if they say, hey, I want to see your license. Well, if I don't really have a reason to show you, I'm not resisting arrest, not showing you, but I am not cooperating. And there's a difference. And to me, we're trying to teach people to just cooperate with the law, but make sure that you understand the laws that you're cooperating with. Because if you don't have any warrants, any drugs, any guns, anything like that, then you're just going to have a conversation with the officer. And so those are the things that we want to really do. We want to educate as much as we can in all areas, whether it's health, housing, work. We just want to make sure that the community is educated on those things.
Effectiveness training.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Effectiveness training, helping people to be more effective in
Yes.
situations.
Effective, and we also want them to be, as you said earlier, self-sustaining. We want people to have the ability to take care of themselves. And then when you do need help, we want to be the place that you decide that, hey, let me call the Urban League and ask. We may not be the place to do it, but we want to be like a hub so we can say, hey, I know that agency 1, 2, or 3 is doing it. So we have people all the time that come to say, hey, I want to start a business. We refer them to the minority business because that's their lane. We can help you with some of the products maybe, but starting a minority business or starting a business in itself, we refer to the minority business. When there's other avenues that is not for us, we still refer you, but the key to it is being in the know. And that's how you get that, by being in different partnerships to say, this agency does this agency does that. It's time out for being an island all to yourself. You have to be able to collaborate and work together.
And with the 3-prong program that you have, live, learn, and work, is there anything else that you would like to share with us with the live, learn, and work?
Yes, many of you know that Stark County is no different than any other place on the map in as far as the United States. There's a lot of ex-offenders that are being released every day. Many don't have housing, which is the live portion. Many don't have the ability to get a job, which is our work portion. And then many of them struggle from the fact that I never really finished high school. I don't have a GED, and that's the learn portion. So we want to affect those 3 areas with everything, even with our reentry program. We want to be able to help an ex-offender come to the Urban League, learn the necessary skills to change. Oftentimes, there's a lot of programs in Stark County that say they work with ex-offenders, but none of them really hit the heart of why this person was an offender in the first place. So we have a Let's Change program that really works on the individual while helping them to make sure that they have somewhere to live, somewhere to work, and that they're learning about themselves to make better choices.
And a final question for you is, what can the community do to help you and the Urban League achieve your goals?
The biggest thing I've learned is that the Urban League is only as strong as the community that supports it. So the best thing that the community can do is come out and support. Figure out a program, figure out an area that you're passionate about, and let's see, even if we're not doing it currently, and you say, hey, I'm really passionate about this, we need this in the community, let's have that discussion. because really we don't have all the answers, but we want to be a part of all the solutions. So the biggest thing they could do is help out. They could do it either financially, they can do it through volunteer, they can do it through just getting the word out that, hey, the Urban League is the place that you should go to get whatever it is that you need. That's the biggest thing the community can do.
Thank you. You have been tuned in to Forum 360 with our special guest, Colin Lewis, the interim CEO, President of the Greater Stark County Urban League. Thank you.
I thank you. I really do.
And on behalf of Forum 360, I'm Sally Henning, and thanks today especially to our host, Diane Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Forum 360 is brought to you with support from Electric Impulse Communications, Kim and Harvey Nelson, Rubber City Radio Group, Acronist.com, Hudson Cable, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Forum 360 supporters, and the Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron.